no matter what business you are, so you could be a dentist, you could be in financial planning, you could be in, I don't know, a library, but first and foremost, think of yourself as a marketing media company. Well, like a media company, you should be pushing out content.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true. And one of the most effective ways and cost-efficient ways to do that is through digital. So whether you're a business owner or you're running a company, you must be telling people what you're doing. Otherwise, how are they going to know? So things like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, like it's all free to actually post on all those platforms. Obviously, content creation might cost a little bit of money, but there's cost-effective ways of doing it. So any business or any person in business should be on some sort of platform that's relevant for them.
Hi, Chris Christopher here, and in this episode of my podcast, Relentless Life on Your Terms, I sat down with a very talented Lisa Tay, who runs a successful digital marketing agency called Kody, who represents brands like Uber, Myer and Sheridan, just to name a few, and now is working with Reventon, and the importance of having a digital presence both on your personal brand and in your company, and the opportunities that creates, and also what to do with your money and where to park your tax dollars in investing. Hi, Chris Christopher here on my podcast, Relentless Life on Your Terms, with Lisa Tay from CODI Agency. Thank you very much for being here, Lisa.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Now, today we're going to cover quite a few topics. A lot of people I know about you actually started as an accountant, is that right?
Oh my God, I feel embarrassed. I used to be a tax lawyer, believe it or not. And I just never felt like I fit in. I wasn't passionate about it. So now I'm lucky enough to be passionate about what I do. So. And
you worked for some of the biggest hitters as well, KPMG I saw?
Yeah, KPMG, Ashurst, and the tax office. Talk about conversation killer. Every time I said I work for the tax office, people literally just be edging away from me in conversation because they obviously felt like I could audit them. Not that I would.
Everyone would get nervous.
Yeah, very nervous.
So now for me, knowing your personality, that's the last thing I'd pick you in. But CODI Agency, which is a digital marketing agency, I definitely see you in. That's what attracted me to want to work with you in the first place. And we've started working together recently. Everything I turn on LinkedIn, you're always making these great videos, great content. You've got over 300 clients in a number of different countries. Why do you feel having a digital presence so important, especially in today's day and age?
That's a great question. And I would say that digital marketing is super important no matter what business you're in. And actually I heard this great podcast by Gary Vee the other day, and he was saying that no matter what business you are, so you could be a dentist, you could be in financial planning, you could be in, I don't know, a library, but first and foremost, think of yourself as a marketing media company. Well, like a media company, you should be pushing out content.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true. And one of the most effective ways and cost-efficient ways to do that is through digital. So whether you're a business owner or you're running a company, you must be telling people what you're doing. Otherwise, how are they going to know? So things like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, like it's all free to actually post on all those platforms. Obviously, content creation might cost a little bit of money, but there's cost-effective ways of doing it. So any business or any person in business should be on some sort of platform that's relevant for them.
Of course, and he speaks a lot about value, sell, or jab, cross. He thinks he calls it. Bob was talking about that. So adding good value with good content. I heard him once say he does up to 100 pieces a day, because I know he does a lot of content.
I know.
Which is very daunting for a lot of people, but just getting started is very important, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that's the hardest thing. So for LinkedIn, I'm very much like an all or nothing person. So I'm either nothing or everything. So I actually post a video every day, Monday to Friday. That's probably why I'm all over your feed and other people's. And for me, I just work that into my routine because I train myself to think in content. So every time I'm, doing something or going to a meeting or listening to a podcast, I automatically think, is this something that I could share on LinkedIn? So then I start to write notes on my phone. And then when I go and film my video every morning, just on my phone, I just go through and say, okay, what do I feel like talking about today? But I've spoken to a lot of people, and they're very nervous to put something out because I think that they're worried about what people will think, or they don't know what to put out. And I think the best thing to do is just put anything out, and then you refine it from there, because people are so focused on saying, oh, it must be perfect. It's like, it definitely doesn't need to be perfect. Especially for LinkedIn, I feel like you can be a little bit more raw on LinkedIn. But the thing is, just to get content out, your audience will tell you what they want to see more of, and then you can start to post more of that.
And based on their comments, and no one's perfect to start, and I mean, people see people that are great on camera or speaking, they go, how good was it? I remember I did a video, and they go, you did a great video. I did 167 takes, and I was doing it. That's true, and people go, wow. That's so many times it took me to go over and over criticizing myself or putting it on there, but getting it out there is the biggest first step, isn't it? And getting, when you mentioned your videos, the value that I receive every day, because they're always good tips, and I know you listen to Jake Shea and a lot of other people, and you relay some of that great content, and I think that's invaluable. You've worked with some of the biggest companies like Myer, you've worked with Sheridan, you've worked with Uber.
Yeah.
And now with Reventon, you're working with us.
I know, the biggest of them all.
And how did you get all those clients? So obviously you've been going since 2014.
Yes.
But how did you start from there to working with some of the biggest brands in the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I actually started off when I was in tax. I needed a creative outlet.
True,
as you can imagine.
Of course.
So I started a media company with my business partner, and we covered fashion, beauty, lifestyle news in Australia and Melbourne. And then that allowed me to make all sorts of amazing contacts. It gave me a chance to learn how to create content and grow digital platforms. So then we had brands start to approach us to say, hey, can you do some content creation for us and for our channels? And we're like, yeah, I guess so. And then so the agency was kind of just born from, it was almost by mistake. And then a lot of the stuff that we do now for our clients, like, influencer campaigns, LinkedIn management, Instagram management, content creation, that wasn't even a job back then because the digital landscape's changing so quickly. So it's really exciting, and I feel that, coming from tax, when let's face it, nothing changes really, to an industry where things are literally changing daily, it's so exciting to be playing in that space.
It is, and I think content is very prevalent now as well, but good content, I think, is the key, which you bring out a lot of, which is why I watch what you do, and I also asked you to help Reventon and myself out.
Yeah.
But finding something, you mentioned before tax, and now you mentioned digital agency, you can see the passion for it. It makes such a difference when you're doing those long hours, doesn't it?
Oh,
when you
huge.
love what you do, when you love the
Absolutely.
clients you're with and the results that you're getting.
Yeah, because then it doesn't feel like work. So, for me, I think I feel very fortunate to not only have found something that I'm passionate about, but I get to do it with people that I love, from my clients to my team, like to the people around me that I have in my life. I feel so lucky to be where I am today.
And that shows in your work and it shows in your output 100%, and which is why I said I wanted to work with you. Another thing I found extremely intriguing and out there, that you also work with your life partner as well, your husband.
Yeah, poor guy.
And, well, how's that first? Because I also work with my wife, and I get that question asked a lot. How is it? Because everyone looks at us now and they go, looks very easy. It was very tough initially, but now we obviously learned. How do you cope with working with your husband or significant other? Yeah,
so I think, to be honest, in short, communication's the key. So we're very lucky that we actually have similar taste. So our communication's not terrible, like it could be better, but if you can communicate and clearly allocate tasks, so look at where each other's strengths are and then make that person focused on that particular area and have that clear delineation, then you're not going to be arguing, going, I thought you were going to do that, I thought you were going to do that. So I think if you can do clearly defined tasks, have open lines of communication, then there's no reason why you can't make it work.
So work on your core competencies and basically have accountability on each area.
Yeah, absolutely. And the woman's always right.
Oh, look, my wife says that all the time. I'm like, I think she whispers that when I'm sleeping, like she's trying to hypnotise me or something. But look, women do have good inkling when it comes to certain things, but I think men have strengths as well, which is why that we work well together, I guess. But it's always challenging. But having someone, when I had one of my podcasts with one of my mentors, Len Warson, who works with his wife, she's on his board, and I found that intriguing. And I said, she goes, knows nothing about the business, but she goes, she knows me.
Yes.
And that makes a big difference to the core running of the business, or when the board presents an idea, having her, then I found that intriguing. So I always ask that question because I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, it's a good question.
So over 300 clients, what's on the agenda next for Kody?
It's a great question. So our biggest area of growth is, I would say, LinkedIn management. So we're finding that business people such as yourself need to be developing themselves as thought leaders, and the best way to do that, and obviously generate new leads, the best way to do that is on LinkedIn. So I actually encourage our clients to not post even technical content, like get yourself out there and post things that authentically...
What do you mean by technical content?
So say, for example, if you're in, like say you're a tax lawyer, I think there's a temptation for them people to be talking about tax advice and the latest changes to the tax law. But realistically, if people wanted that news, they probably won't go to you. They'll go to an actual tax body where the latest news is constantly updated, and that's their purpose.
Yep.
So I encourage business owners to focus more on like their experiences in business, what they're passionate about, what their learnings are, and then share that, and then people will resonate with them, and also it will push their content further. So I would say LinkedIn, is 100% where any business owner should be playing. And then,
And also, when you're posting things that are very complex, a confused mind doesn't buy.
Yes.
So if you give a simple message and the people resonate with you
Yeah.
as a leader or as a person or a business owner,
Yeah.
like I did with you, when I said, I like her message, it's clear, it's concise,
yeah.
then they're going to find out the rest because they're going to ask it.
Yes.
Or you're going to confuse them, they're going to go, I don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And to be honest, a lot of the things that I share personally on my page it's like just common sense, but I think it's more, I'm just reminding people of that. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a good point. I should make sure I don't use the word try, or make sure I do this for productivity.
I like that one a lot. But common sense isn't that common, I don't think.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. I'm like, oh, I thought it was just like, common sense.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people are like, never thought of it like this before. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good.
I love the word try thing. I do a similar thing at home. We're not allowed to use the words can't at all.
Good.
My son's deaf and that's his signs, and he's not allowed to use that word at home because it's a limiting belief. So if you say that word,
Yes.
you can't do it. So when I saw the try one, I loved that because I thought, that's so true.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to try to go to the gym.
Exactly. It's like, just go. Just like say, I'm going to go to the gym. Then it eliminates you're not going to negotiate with yourself.
As well. And
exactly.
One of my coaches told me indecisiveness becomes decisiveness after a period of time.
Yes.
Just decide and commit. And you look at all the great brands. Just do it. Nike. What is it? Just commit.
Exactly.
Which are the simplest things, obviously, the toughest. So.
And you're good though, because you commit to getting up at 2:45 every morning.
I go through my stages, but look, it's like the key thing that we said before. It's a passion, and even when I've also done a couple podcasts, and one with Nick, who's a friend of both of ours. I always ask the question: if I was to sign a check to you right now for X dollars, 100 million, $1 billion, whatever the figure is, what would you do tomorrow? And I always think that's the true measure of an entrepreneur, someone that loves what they do. Will you be there tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then that really. It's easy to have those long days when I'd honestly say, yes, I would.
Yeah.
I love Mondays and I love coming here every day. And people that are passionate about their work, it comes out in their output, it comes out in their relationships with their clients, their results, and I think that's very important.
I agree, and Nick's like a great example of that because he doesn't actually need to work, and he's one of the hardest working people I know. So I think looking at someone like him, he's like a great example of someone who's clearly doing something that he enjoys. And
that's what drew me towards him when I saw the content and what he was saying and stuff, and
I
thought, like tracks like.
Yeah.
So when I see people that are extremely passionate, I love that. When I see people extremely hardworking, I love it. You're never going to see the hardest worker in a room not wealthy ever.
Yes.
You walk into a room and someone's the hardest worker, I guarantee you they're always going to be successful.
Exactly. Can't chase the money.
Yeah. You've got to chase your passion.
Yeah.
Now, Lisa, obviously being in real estate, and you used to be an ex-accountant, when you're not investing in your business or in yourself and your personal development and you're making money, where would you put your hard-earned money?
It's a good question. So I actually do invest in property. So I should probably get some tips from you because I know that you're a gun at that. Or like another side business. So I've got a side business, which is the one I do with my husband. So I think either of those, but do something that you feel comfortable in and that you have people around you that you can call on for expert advice. I think that's really the key for me because, people work so hard for their money and then they just go and spend it and don't have a strategy behind it. Whereas going to see someone like yourself, you can actually make your money work so much harder for you. Otherwise, if you try and do it yourself and you don't have expert advice, it's like you might as well just throw your money in the bin.
And I always say no one works harder than money. It works 27 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it just constantly works. So parking your money in a great investment, like real estate, safe and affordable, good tax breaks as well.
Exactly.
Is always a good thing.
Exactly.
Now, for those out there that want to get in touch with Lisa at CODI Agency, how would they get in touch with you and what do they need to do?
They can give me a follow on LinkedIn. So search me, Lisa Tay. And you can go and follow my business page, so CODI Agency. And we've got some great tips on digital marketing there, or they can shoot me an email at lisa@CODIagency, that's CODI.com.au.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you for having me. That was great.